And now, a GenBand NFV ecosystem member and technology partner, the Vice President of Network Functions Virtualization at HP, Werner Schaefer.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure to be here. You don't have to walk out now. I actually do say something interesting, believe it or not. I do feel, though, a little bit like the plumber here, to be honest. We've seen a lot of great stuff up front. The last mile, we heard about innovation. I'm going to talk a little bit about the plumbing all behind that, and how do you actually going to get to NFV, and how do you end up on your journey at the cloud, and how will you be able to get there, and who are the people that can help you come over those obstacles. And I think I'm somewhat qualified to talk to you about that, because over the last 4 years, I've talked to pretty much every single Tier 1 and Tier 2 carrier out there. I had the privilege of being the executive sponsor on a little project that we did in 2011 with a company called British Telecom. And they were looking at virtualizing the BRAS. I think you all probably know that story, what happened out of that. They started then coining that term NFV, and the other carriers jumped on it. The Etsy got on it, and now everybody's talking about NFV. So it's not quite that new, actually. We're working on this for 4 years. Just show of hand, anybody not knowing what NFV stands for and what it actually is? A couple of hands out there? No, okay. So I can probably quickly go to my first couple of slides, actually pick up a little bit of time for all of us here. So going away from the monolithic world, you heard a lot about it already, and actually ending in a cloudified environment. Now, that all sounds very easy, and a lot of the things that we heard during the day here, they're just great, right? We want to be there, we love the apps, we want to use all of that. No matter if we're on a bike or if we're running or whatever it is that we're doing there, it's all good. However, when we look at the old world, it was pretty simple. If there was an issue, we knew where it was. We could go, we could fix that part. We had the SLAs, usually with one company, that we could go and we could either pat them on the back for the good job they did, or we got them on the throat if they didn't do it. So it was pretty simple. That's not that simple anymore if you go from that right side to from the left to the right there, and it's all in the cloud, right? So very important thing, how we address that as an industry. We call it the new business of the network. All these things that you've heard today, we have it here on the slide as well about, the competition with the OTTs. We love that. Maintain what you have is what David said this morning, right? As a carrier, I believe this is the most valuable asset that you have. It's the relationship with that customer. You're the one that actually sends the bill. Make use of that. Keep that. Make sure that you maintain that relationship. And in order to enhance those customer experiences, you have to bring more to the table. You have to be in control of that, and you have to have the right technologies to do that. And we know about OPEX, obviously, the pressures that there are. We know that we want to combine and that we want to bring new technologies and connect people in new ways. That's all that you want to do, right? Is there anybody in the audience, anybody that is a carrier here or that has a network, a cable that does not want to do that? Any of you that want to stand where you're at today, you don't want to move? No? Who wants to move? Who wants to go forward and do all those things for their customers? Come on, guys. I know it's after lunch. I know it's difficult. All right, so we all want to do that, right? We all want to get into this new business of the network. We want to harvest those assets that we actually have, those relationships, and we want to enhance it and enrich it. There's obviously different aspects to that, right? We know that the marketing department looks at that different than the CTO does. The CFO looks different at that than the engineering guys does. And we heard a lot about this already. And it always makes me a little bit cringe when we're in those conversations with a carrier or with parts of a carrier on the networking guys, and they look at what it is that we're going to do, and they only talk about their budget, and they only talk about their speeds and feeds where they're going after, and they do not necessarily own the power budget. So they bought the cheapest server or they bought the cheapest equipment, but unfortunately it uses twice as much power, but they don't own that budget. So there's a lot of stuff that we actually internally have to overcome to make sure that we actually, as a carrier, and as a provider to you guys who have the network, that we actually bring all of this together so we can save those billions of dollars in electricity, that we can do the things for the environment that we heard here today. So if this is all great, what in the world is holding us back? Why haven't you all done this already? Why haven't you gone out there? As I said, 4 years, it's not a new idea, right? Can you change something in 4 years? We're talking about bringing out new services in weeks. So what the hell did you guys do the last 4 years since this was out? Well, we're hearing more or less the same things from every carrier that we talk to out there. One is the technology is not yet ready. Carrier grade, that's the big excuse, I would almost say, that we don't have that yet. It's not ready for prime time. We can't use it that. Not enough use cases. Haven't seen it live. Don't see others using it yet. I'd rather wait a little bit. I don't want to be the one that gets the bloody nose here. I don't have the staff skilled enough to go out and do this. So we need the people that have the knowledge. We need to find those folks, the people that we have there know how to run a network, that know how to do it old school, that did it well. We're great. We're known for the quality of our network. We don't have people that understand OpenStack. We don't understand necessarily what it all takes to actually transform that. Now, I understand there's probably not a lot of OpenStack people here today because they're all up in Vancouver at the summit today. That's why you ended up with me today. I apologize for that. The next piece, well, how do we calculate the ROI? How do we see what the total cost actually is over a period of time when we transform our networks? Now, great for me that we had our colleague from Verizon up here, and he showed you the Verizon numbers, right? Was that compelling, the savings that they achieve out of transforming their network? And no matter if you are a tier 1 carrier or tier 2 carrier, I'm sure there's stuff in there where you can look at and say, yeah, you know, there's probably something here. So we probably need to look at that a little bit more. And then lastly, we all hear, well, you know, we still got to run the old thing. We got to run our OSS and BSS, and we're not quite sure how we do this with the new stuff. And someone needs to just tell us how that works, and we don't necessarily have the right people who can do that. Goes a little bit back to point 2 there. Now, my question to you, is any of this that you see here particular for only one of the carriers out there? Everybody probably thinks somewhat that that's their situation, but this is something that we as an industry have to solve. And when I say we as an industry, I primarily say the IT part of that, because quite frankly, we've done virtualization for the last decade and a half. There is a lot of knowledge out there. There's actually not a knowledge with you out there as well, because I'm pretty sure that your CIO and your IT department has done a little bit of that. Now, different, and I understand that in the past there wasn't necessarily a big friendship between the CIOs and CTOs and their organizations, but that is something that we actually see rapidly changing. So when we go out and when we talk to customers with our partners and we sit in front of them and we have conversations about NFV, this is what we hear. If you look at the latest studies, if you follow Infonetics or others, they can give you all of the good answers that they got from a number of surveys about why people haven't moved yet, why they still think they need to wait. Now, we believe the way forward is actually not that hard. If you listen to everything you heard here basically in the morning, in the early afternoon, there is already a lot of great example and use cases and technology out there that is proven, that is deployed. So pick one. As we heard this morning, this change is happening with us or without us. I would rather want to be part of that. Luckily, I am blessed to work for a company that has always been an innovation engine, and we're working on innovation on a daily basis, and we will continue to do so. And we do it in all the areas that we're active in today. And if we think about power consumption, if we think about all these savings there's a lot of work that we're doing, a lot of innovation that we're doing. We'll continue to do that. We want to be part of that. We are part of this transformation, We actually do have a long history in telco, but in the last 4 years, we've looked at this and we said, we have to go forward here. We have to be an integral part of this change. We made this decision. We want to be part of the change. So pick something where you believe that it will add value, that it will get you to new revenues, that it will get you to some of the cost saving, that it will bring you more agility to work with your customers and offer them a better product. Start, don't wait. But don't do it alone. Use all the resources. As Sir Ken said when we saw this example with the table, right? Look where the water is that can help you raise that peanut out of that tube. Who are the companies that you could work with? One of those invited you to be here and spend a couple days with them, and you took the time to be here. So that could be actually a good start, and have this conversation with these guys about how they can get you actually to where you want to be. But in order to know where you, to help you where you want to be, obviously you got to figure out on your own where that is that you want to be and what is important to you. So narrow the scope and figure out where you can be successful quickly. Where can you help yourself with your business case internally to convince the ones in your company that do want to stay back, that are not quite sure if they really want to be part of that change, that it is actually doable and that you can do it and that you have the resources and that you have the creative minds in your company that can actually come together. And yes, there are some of those in the IT department as well, so bring them in. Have those discussions with each other. Bring all the resources, and then bring your trusted partner and have those conversations and find the ways to go forward. And lastly, you want to look at the leaders. You want to look at the companies that are really driving it. You want to have the partners that are actually winning with you together and going to that new world. There's companies out there that are stuck in the old because that's where they are making their main profits. So look very closely who the partners are that you choose to bring you forward and to help you on that journey in making your NFV journey to the cloud as successful as possible. All of these things are things that you have to do. If you want to survive as a company, you will have to find ways to grow your business. Fring is a great example for that, right? In going back. But you will not stay ahead by doing what others are already doing. So you got to seek those opportunities where you can go forward and where you got to be faster. And yes, we're not going to invent another Facebook. We're not going to do another Skype. We're going to go beyond. We're going to make sure that we find the ways that really will grow our business. If you look at the cost structure, it is extremely important to look at the whole picture of that. Find the ways internally how you get together as a company, and you can really look at the whole end-to-end solution of something that you have. That includes things like your power consumption. That includes things like your footprint. And there's great solutions out there that will help you actually find those scaling solutions that bring you down, as we saw, to one rack instead of hundreds of them. That cut your power bills and that cut your footprint in the data centers to a minimum compared to what you're using there today. But most important, what do your customers want? Do you know where your customers want to go? What is it that you can offer your customers? And the beauty about this new technology is you have the option to actually fast fail. You can bring a new service to your customers, and you know what? It's not the end of the world if that service doesn't turn out the way that you wanted it to be, because you can repurpose that equipment, you can repurpose the infrastructure in a heartbeat for something else. There's no sunk cost in it, so go out and do it, right? And lastly, innovation. That is also something that you guys are supposed to do. All of us in the room are supposed to do, no matter what our function is. If you're a wireless carrier, if you got landlines, if you're a cable provider, what's the innovation that comes out of your house? What's the innovation that you can trigger to actually benefit your customers? Again, back to my first conversation when I stepped out here, right? What is it? What is it that your customer wants? Where are we going to go with them? How can we help them? This is your most valuable asset that you have there. There's a lot of good people over in the other room that show you what kind of solution they have. JanBand is a great partner. I hope we can be a great partner, and actually in HP Open NFV, something that we introduced last year, we actually have more than 150 partners that are around technology and solutions that want to come and that want to help accelerate this journey and get you on the way to the cloud. And with that, I'm giving a few minutes back to the organizers so we can catch up. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to have a lot of conversation with you guys later today. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.